I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes.
It's the old
He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know contest. Yahuwah, he do the bled. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to Thora. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing all with big manotas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, would not hesitate to get retarded. Oh lordy, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he forest. He's running to the hills like a Philistine. Jihad hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the ratchet team. JJ 7000 to the bait league. Yeah, I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Ballin' and crawling all the way from H-Time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Mito got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, I'm dope and wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as a realist, yeah. Death by cop, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been there. Yeah. Man, they know contest. Yeah. Yahuwah, he do the bled. Wow, what's that? Why didn't take it over? Number one debate league, you heard me? When it's up, it's stuck. I'm stepping on everything, nigga. Metaphorically, of course.
Well, all right. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of The Lion's Den. And this is a segment titled The Conversation Continues, talking about what's on your mind. And we're your host. I'm going to still put him in, although he's on sleepy time because he's tired. But still, JT Raw, Yeshaya Dog. You have the seventh answer, Lady Karima. And of course, there's little old me, Big Baby Hebrew, Brother Mala Akaya, putting it down for you and yours. And we give honor to the Lord and Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And now, during this flight, you will be thoroughly informed and be given, once again, the ultimate truthality social media platform experience known as the Lion's Den. Make no mistakes. There are a lot of voices out there, but we are putting it down like no other. Not that we're putting anyone else down, but still, we bring it to you live, raw, and direct, straight with no chaser. And of course, what is the formula that makes up the Lion's Den? The conversation continues. The seven eyes, of course. which is independence, integrity, inspiration, influence, insight, information, and of course, intelligence. Because why? We bring nothing but the facts. That's FACTS, and that is frequently accurate, correct truths. And of course, when you roll with the Lions, you roll with the pride, and that's PRIDE, because we're always permanently ready and destroying evil, starting with our own. Okay? And you know that when you roll with us here also, we're one of the many factions of the anti-coon movement. And what's a coon? COON, a complete, obvious, obedient, yes, a boss, nigga. We don't do that here either. No cooning, no buffooning, ever. And of course, there may be times we don't see eye to eye. So we're also the home of point counterpoint, which is also known as debate. We correct each other in love and make it happen. And of course, in this Truthality social media platform, we also bring what? The Spirit of the Lord. And that is Isaiah 41:21 through 24. We always come ready to produce our cause. And 1 Thessalonians 5:21, we always come ready to prove all things that we say here. All right? And of course, we also want you to know that here in the Lion's Den, the seventh answer, Lady Karima, JT Raw, Yeshaya Dar, myself, we're always empathetic and sympathetic to those of you out there who can't handle the truth. We always give you our deepest sympathies because you know why? We ain't gonna compromise it for no damn body. So dig, you can leave right now. You can skedaddle if you can't handle the truth. And last but not least, one of the other house rules set by another beautiful lioness, and that is Iron Manner. When you come into the Lion's Den, you wipe your feet, you mind your manners, and conduct yourself in an orderly manner and enjoy yourself. Because see, if you don't, well, you might just get no, I'm not might. You're gonna get yourself unceremoniously kicked up out of here. And on that note, right, now that the seventh answer has given me clearance for takeoff, we are now about to embark on a nice little journey on fact, figures, and all types of discussions that need to be talked about. All right? Now, before we get started, however, as we now are in flight, let me just say this here. On the last episode, some correction needed to be laid out. Some of you out there, it threw you for a loop. But let me just make this clear to you. Like we always say here, we are always hospitable and giving host. Therefore, we are not going to take or tolerate any guests coming up in this home being rude. And when Lady Karima starts cracking the whip, all Yeshaya and myself better do is just get up out the way. You know, remember how when Mom used to say, when Mom used to tell you when she would be putting the beats on some of your brothers and sisters when they got out of pocket, you better go mind your business and have a seat come about 5 seconds from giving it to you too. Well, that's what we do. We're not going to tolerate anyone being disrespectful and rude in this format. Why? We spend a great deal of time. See, not that I'm explaining ourselves. That's not what I'm doing, but I'm going to lay out how things work around here. Look, we spend a great deal of our time while traversing through life, its hardships, its highs, lows, ups and downs. We take time out of our schedule. We put ourselves out here on a sacrificial landscape to bring this information to you. Because see, one thing about Black folk in particular, we always complaining. All right? We always complaining, but like my grandfather taught me many moons ago, boy, Anybody can complain. And if you're going to complain right now, I'm going to hear you out. But when you finish complaining, whatever you complaining about, I want you to be the one that bring the solution to the problem that you see wrong. Now, if you don't have a solution behind your complaint, I need for you to shut what they call all kinds of the up. Now, he ain't really cuss that, but you get the idea. And I've been living by that credo ever since. So here it is, right? We always talking about what we don't have as far as white media or anything of that nature. So here it is, Sister Karima, along with JJ 7000, but Karima in particular has put together this high-powered black media dynamic so platform, and yet and still we'll have people in here for no reason but just to be silly, come up in here and be incontinent, rude, and disrespectful. And after a while, when you turn the other cheek once, you turn the other cheek twice. Well, like Christ got tired of, the Pharisees and Sadducees and people coming up in the temple, making a mess and desecrating his father's house. He picked up a whip and he cleaned house by putting the beats on them. See, that's the Christ that everybody always want to run away from, but we don't. So a beat down had to be administered, discipline and order had to be restored, and that is what you're going to face if you come in here being disrespectful. So do yourself a favor. If you don't like what we say here, if you can't handle the truth, like I said, you can skedaddle right now. Bye. We won't miss you at all. Because this is only for people out here who love the truth, who strive for the truth, and want to be given the truth. Because see, after all, another thing we ask here on the Lions Den, aren't you tired of being lied to? Now, with all that out the way, and as we now are leveling out, let's get it in, y'all. Let's get it in. Let's talk Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to talk Jimmy Kimmel for a second. Now, as you can see, we have Attorney General Pam Bondi and the war now on freedom of speech. See, understand that Jimmy Kimmel is only the prelude to the real target of this country and the dictatorial powers that they're trying to now lay down. See, understand, America has never been a democracy. Never. Because America has always been an imperialist democracy. And that is, there's some people telling all the people what to do, how to do it at all times. And we must understand how this system works. America was founded on what? Racketeering, human trafficking, rape, brutality, and everything you can think of that was morally decrepit. And it's ran on that to this day. And what we're not going to do is pretend that we're living in a righteous government where in God we trust, because that's a bald and bold face lie. And what we must do as this generation and the millennials and the next generation to come, we must be ready, willing, and able to face down all these devils out here. Okay? Some of y'all out there might have been asking me, why do I call myself Dr. USA? Well, what's a doctor? A doctor is someone who's learned. That's what the word doctor means. Someone who's learned. And USA, well, my assignment, my God-given assignment, is to undermine Satan's agenda. Straight up. That's why I call myself Dr. USA. So, because some of y'all been curious as to why I call myself that, that's why. My job, along with my other contemporaries in here, as doctors, learned, all right, we give an examination. We then sit down and plot the procedure to operate and remove the germs and cancers and sicknesses from this body. The nation of Israel, that's who we are. I'm not going to get into no sermon, but you know what I mean. And we come here, and so we come here, and I come here as Dr. USA to put it down unapologetically. Well, are you saying you're anti-American? No, I'm not an anti-American, but I am anti-evil. I'm anti-hypocrisy. I'm anti-lies. I'm anti-skullduggery. I'm anti-trickery. And I'm anything that goes against God's laws. And if America's going against God's laws, well, okay, it is what it is and what it will be. So, moving on. With all that, we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel. So now, Jimmy Kimmel. Please understand that Jimmy Kimmel, ladies and gentlemen, is the president that now Pam Bondi and your emperor, Donald J. Trump, under the rulership of Elon Musk and Bill Gates and other unseen hands, is trying to knock out all avenues of free speech. And see, one of the major credos we also give here is freedom of speech, but responsible speech. Meaning that you must think before you speak. Now, Pam Bondi said that Jimmy Kimmel was taken out and canceled because of some mean and incendiary things he said about the late Charlie Kirk. Hold on. The late Charlie Kirk. Well, I heard the jokes that Mr. Kimmel said in reference to Donald J. Trump and Charlie Kirk. And yeah, they were funny. But I think the real deal is Donald Trump took offense to what Mr. Kimmel said about him and the way he just went from, well, we're all sad about Charlie Kirk into, hey, look at the ballroom you're going to be building. The way he just passed it off. But look, I'm all against hate speech, but what I'm looking at is the hypocrisy of Pam Bondi and the Republican and Democrats. Because see, please understand that the Republican and Democrats are one and the same. Because whether right wing, left wing, Kentucky Fried Chicken wing, the whole bird of this country is foul. You understand me? They're all one and the same. It was the Democrats who've been majoring in censorship, but now the Republicans are getting on board with it because they don't like that there are a lot of people out here, black media. See, understand the real target is black media. See, we done got too big for our britches and dresses and skirts and speaking bravely and boldly. And so so Jimmy Kimmel is just a, how you say, Trojan horse. He is the precedent being set. So when they do come after yours truly here, the Lion's Den, they'll be saying, well, it's not a racial issue. It's just the fact that you guys are not speaking responsibly. See, please understand that freedom of speech, right, is when you're talking about someone, and if what you're saying is the truth, how is it hate speech? See, we know that libel and slander is that when you speak or you print something about someone that isn't the truth. See, the way they're trying to maneuver it now, if you speak the truth, when you say what needs to be said and how it should be said, and they're using Charlie Kirk's death, his assassination, as a springboard to put this whole, well, we're coming against hate speech. Meanwhile, when Charlie Kirk was alive, the late Rush Limbaugh and so many other voices out there spewed nothing but hate, racial bigotry, and anti-black and sentiments at all times. Every kind of lie, every kind of inflammatory and incendiary, untrue stereotype they could think of. And for years, they made millions doing it. And there's certain people still making millions off of grifting and using black folk as a scapegoat. So please understand, the Federal Communications Commission, along with Pam Bondi and the United States government as a whole, are now looking to lock down all avenues where critical thinkers and critical speakers are going to be shut down. Which goes to show you the hypocrisy. See, let's not, what am I saying? Matter of fact, hey, yo, they been doing this, man. They've been doing it. Let's not forget that here in America, freedom of speech has always been a matter of interpretation. Because after all, you know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Robert Francis Kennedy, Fred Hampton, Charles Hampton, and a whole host of other black and white voices at times who spoke up for justice, who spoke up against the lies and all the evils of certain controllers of this country. They all got gunned down. And then so much freedom of speech, right? We always hear, oh, America, well, only in America can you say whatever you want to say, and you won't meet with any kind of, resistance. And if you believe that, then come on now. Really? They've been annihilating voices of, weapons of mass resistance in this country. And if they didn't get you with assassin's bullets, let's not forget we've had whistleblowers, FBI, CIA, you name it, that have come forth admitting the United States government has used all forms of chemical warfare to knock out all voices of opposition. And that's not no conspiracy theory. That is just what it is, a conspiracy. And what's conspiracies? The planning to do and commit underhanded acts. So let's stop playing games here and stop pretending that we can't see what they're doing. And see, what they're mad about is that when you have the Lion's Den and other voices of, black media out here now calling them on their bull shenanigans, they can't handle it. See, let's not forget that this whole thing kicked off when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, all right, and taken out by a lone white man, allegedly, Taylor Robinson. Yet the climate of this country has made it where a lot of white Americans are mad at black folk because they saw videos of black people saying, forget F Charlie Kirk, screw Charlie Kirk, calling Charlie Kirk out on all his racial bigotry and basically dancing in the streets and letting it be known how they feel about him. And it just seems to me, I get it. For some of you white supremacist practitioners, for a long time, you've gotten so conditioned and so used to thinking that us black folks are still your slaves and your property, and we're not. See, it's leaving you in a quandary. And here it is, 10 million, supposedly 10 million black folks have walked away from the Democratic Party, and it ain't been the same. The Democratic Party has not been the same since. It's blowing your mind. That here it is, when you low key tune in here to the Lions Den, and I'm gonna shout out some others. You got New Breed, Lisa Cabrera, Sister Deborah, Proverb 31, and other Phil Scott and other voices, Vicky Dillon. Yeah, see, it blows your mind with how we talk, how we're coming with all types of facts, figures, and computations that you cannot refute and you can't hide. See, it's blowing your mind that you no longer have control over this country and the world as a whole. Your time is up, Esau, whether you like it or not, believe it or not, or want to deal with it or not. It's over. So Pam Bondi and all this, she's looking to suppress hate speech in the Federal Communications Commission. You can maneuver and spin what you decide hate speech is to your heart's content. We're going to still get it in. We're going to still do what it do and say what need to be said unapologetically in the name of the Lord, the one true God, Yahweh. Like I said, we don't care if you don't like what we do here. Some of y'all say, well, look at your tone. No, my tone is I'm fed up. See, this is the world that I, along with Sister Karima, we got what? JT Raw, Captain Yeshaya on deck. Yo, this is the world we've inherited. And we were taught that if you see something that you don't like, if you see something, say something. Isn't that what we're told? If you see injustice, if you see what's wrong, and if you know it's wrong, say something. Look, white America, the faction that rules this country, you got to make up your mind on what you want. Either you want us to tell the truth or not tell the truth. Or how about this, man? How about y'all just shut the fuck up and get out the way? How about that? No, seriously, man. The gloves are off. And if you got virgin ears or whatever else, you can tune out too. Cause every night, I've had it up to here, and though I try to keep myself emotionally detached while doing the show, nah, man, enough. Cause I'm sick of this shit, and the world's sick of you. That's why it's coming down the way it's coming down. And no matter what you do, no matter how you try to spin and try to slice and dice, yo, you want a war? Well, the Most High, the Lord God Almighty, He gonna give you what you asking for. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a real quick time out and collect myself. Since JT Raw is on deck, so Captain Yeshaya, by all means, come on in. And what's on your mind?
Yeah, this is the last time that the white man in America and the world will have any power or voice or authority. This is the last time stupidity gonna be in this world. And it don't matter what color you are. All of that's about to go up, be destroyed. See, too many damn fools are walking the planet as we speak. And there's too many damn ignorant black people in this country who believe in this damn wicked ass system, corrupt ass system. You got simple niggas saying things they ain't got no business saying. Can't prove a damn thing, but they running their big ass mouth. See, this the last time all you deceivers are going to deceive anybody. White supremacy, if there is such a thing, because I don't believe in no white supremacy. I don't see the people who claim to be superior at all. Everything that you are superior in is pure negative. Like lying like nobody else, stealing like nobody else, murdering, taking lives like nobody else. That's it. See, I'm going to say this. A lot of our people in this setup, you're gonna go up in flames with this damn setup because you trust in it so damn much. He gonna get rid of everything that's ignorant around us. And it starts at home first. We ain't got no time to jive and play. People calling themselves things they never will be and can't prove it. You know what I mean? You want to take the glory away from somebody that you didn't earn. There's things going on right now in our world. All these big mouths running their big ass mouth ain't changing none of these problems. Not one of them. But see, the time of men being worshiped and honored on this earth, that's coming to an end. This is the last time, the last message that this evil kingdom gonna get. This is a straight up fair warning, the last warning to these fake ass crackers in this country and abroad. And I'm gonna say this too, any of our people you down with the team, their team, any of our people you running your big mouth saying things you ain't got no business saying, your ass gonna perish. And I don't give a damn who don't like what I said, but goddamn it, that's the way it's gonna be. We ain't got no time no more for this. Our people getting slaughtered in these streets by the enemy. And we got men in these damn stupid ass camps, Israelite camps. They marching down the street in numbers. But every time something go down that's affecting our people, y'all ain't never there. Why y'all wasn't there for that young man that got hung at that college in Mississippi? Why y'all wasn't there when a black man, a brother just got hung less than a week ago in the state of New York, DeWitt, New York, upstate, on the third way? Where y'all was at? Where was y'all at when the brother got hung in Albany or Buffalo, New York a couple months ago? Where were y'all? The number don't mean nothing if you ain't doing nothing with it. If our people in trouble, can they really depend on y'all to do something? Nah. See, that's why if you ain't on that chip of talking knowledge that's gonna elevate the mind, nigga, get the hell out of my face. Because what we doing on here, we trying to elevate our people. We trying to educate our people. We ain't got no time for no stupidity, man. And if you want to remain a fool, get your ass out of here. Because nobody want to hear that. And if anybody do, there's something wrong with you. That's what the damn problem is. Look at the stupidity that when you walk out your house and you be amongst our people, you're gonna see some stupid ass shit that our people doing in these streets. No matter what city you live in, state, you always gonna see something stupid and ignorant our people doing or saying. When you look at what's going to elevate a people, it's going to be wisdom, knowledge, understanding, not knowing, not giving up your life to the world that never gave up nothing back to you. Here are people, they fighting for reparations, asking the government of the United States under Satan's authority. That's what the real government of the United States means. They're asking for reparation, and the cracker giving you every damn excuse in the book. But when you put the damn Japanese in concentration camps back in 1942, World War II at that, and when it was over, you gave them compensation for those 3 years. What America gave our people for hundreds of years. Even when they said you were free, was you really free? If you were free, you wouldn't have had to put up with all the bullshit that we had to deal with all these years. Y'all should have just left us the hell alone. You don't want to surround us. You don't want us to integrate with you. You don't want nothing to do with us. Leave us the goddamn hell alone. But you crackers got so goddamn jealous that we were prospering. Oh, those niggas are they doing good. We got to do something. Let's destroy that. And guess what? That's exactly what you did. And then you wondering why we come on here and tell you that the Almighty is about to put his foot up your ass. You got a look on your face like, why would God really want to hurt white people? Why would God really want to hurt white people?
Now it's called hate speech. Can you believe that?
Now it's called hate speech. Yeah, hate speech. I'm gonna say this too, and I'll let you get it back. Ain't nobody on the planet lied about the Bible more than y'all. Let's keep it 100. You lied. You tell black people we inferior. You say we 3/5 of a man. Who the hell said you were human, white man? Let's extract the word human. The word hue alone. If you find an old dictionary from like the early 1900s, 1800s, it means brown. So that's strike one on you white people, white man and woman. When you look at your history as a people, you got this little Charlie Kirk talking about how violent black people are in this country, that we commit all the crimes. Black people commit crimes, well, so do you. But niggas, black people, sorry about that, I should have said that. Black people have not committed worldwide crimes that affect the globe. But who has? You. Have my people ever tried to colonize any nation? Within the last 100 years, 200 years, 300 years? Did we go to anybody's land and steal their natural resources? Inflict great pain on them because they don't want to follow our ways of life? Did we do that, or who did it? The whole world want to give the cracker a pass, but everybody want to throw bricks at us. That's to show you how mentally disturbed everybody on the planet is. White supremacy is white lunacy to me, or insanity, white hypocrisy. Pick one. There ain't nothing supreme about these people. You telling me the man in the White House is supreme? What? At what? At lying his ass off? Because that's all that damn Donald Trump's life has been, a damn lie. The Art of the Game, that's his book. It should be The Art of the Con, because that's all he know how to do. con you, rob you blind, promise you every goddamn thing and know damn well he ain't gonna deliver a goddamn thing. And that's what this man has done. And anybody that supports this fool, you a damn fool for putting your life on the line to believe his BS. The clock is ticking on America and all kingdoms of the earth. It's over, man. The party is over. They ain't gonna be let the good times roll. Nah, no more of that. They ain't gonna be no good times no more. Dark days ahead. These gonna be the days of misery, basically. Just the beginning of sorrows. That's what it's coming to. We know they're gonna shut the airways down and that where we can't speak no more. So we trying to get it in where we fit in. You dig? That's the mentality of our people need to be in. Either you're gonna stand up for something that's meaningful, or you're gonna leave this world a sucker. That go for the men and women as well. Men and women. There gotta come a time where you gotta put your life on the line for what's right. Stand up for the truth. Here we got amongst our people that look like us. They would sell you out to the very people that have been our enemy from day one, just to get ahead, just to keep the bag rolling. Why you think we got all these celebrities in music, movies, TV, and nothing get done with the black community? You know why? Because their silence has been bought with contracts, million dollar record deals, movie contracts where they making certain actors making 15 million, 10 million a movie, 20 million a movie, and they don't say nothing. They talk about, oh, I got this new role, but yet you watch the news and see what's going on in your people's communities in America, and you niggas don't say nothing. But yet we honor these niggas.
Negroes,
whatever. I'm gonna call them niglos. Niglos. That's what y'all are.
Well, hold up, you shut up. Let me come in real quick. Now, for those of you who are joining the show, like I said, we taking the gloves off a little bit, and I know some of y'all are not used to us, getting a little, rough, rugged, and raw with the language here. But you know what? Look, this is called frustration, and we are human, so we'll be more mindful. But now, for those of you who want to know what the topic of the show is, you're just coming in. Listen, we're gonna be talking about. We're talking about the last hurrah, the last days. The Most High has given the final warning to the rulers of the society. Look, we're not going to make it pretty here. If you don't want to deal with the revelation era that we are now ushering in, and letting it be known that the Lord God Almighty is getting ready to rain wrath. He can't come fast enough, even if it means my dying. He can't come quick enough and fast enough for me. But if you don't understand that this is what the topic is about tonight, that we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel and his show being taken, which is also now being ushered by this government, by Pam Bondi, the current Attorney General. The wiping out of freedom of speech is in full effect, and Black media and great social media platforms like the Lions Den is now in abject danger. If you want to pretend that you don't understand that what the topic is about, if you want to pretend that you don't understand that we're going to show and prove all the lies and hypocrisies that Charlie Kirk and other grifters like him need to be stomped out and eradicated, If you want to pretend that you don't understand that that's what we're talking about, go on ahead. If you can't comprehend that we're talking about the murder of Trey Reed and other black victims who are being found, lynched, and hanged all throughout Mississippi, upstate New York, and other Delaware, you are more than welcome to pretend that you don't understand that. When we made it clear from the opening what the topic is. And we're going to keep on making it clear for y'all out there. But now, JT, let me ask you a question, man. What's your take on, and what's your spin on Jimmy Kimmel getting his show taken?
My spin on it?
Yeah.
I mean, well, I mean, you got a crybaby in the goddamn White House. I mean, this man wants to silence a man, take the man's TV show because he said a little whatever joke or whatever it was, man. I ain't never seen a crybaby like this man in my life. And the man is a straight up criminal, got 34 convictions on him. His ass should be locked up, but he's a free man and he's on the loose. I mean, when I look at them as the people, it's the same goddamn thing. I seen a video, a white woman come up to a black woman and hit her, and the white woman starts to cry. She hits the woman, put her hand on the black woman, and the white woman is crying because the black woman's gonna call the police on her. I mean, do we really have to still put up with this BS with these people? I mean, if you've been in this country as long as we have, see, you Chinese people don't understand what the hell we talk about. You don't get it. Japanese and other people, you don't get it. You ain't been here more than 300 years with this white man and woman. So you don't know what the hell we talking about. We dealing with a people that don't acknowledge their wrongdoings as a whole. That's the problem here. White men fight back. White men fight back who? We didn't bring you white people over here. We didn't torment you crackers in this country. Name in the history of America where a black man grabbed a white woman, hung her from a tree, or a white man. I'll wait. Because there ain't no history of us going through white towns in this country, burning it to the ground and killing every damn crack in sight. BS, damn lie. But you did it to us.
Be careful with the cracker thing. We got to stop saying that.
All right, man. Well, yeah, this is the little sensitive network. Yet they could call us that word, but if I call a word, Ritz cracker, oh, they get mad about that. That's why this weak ass kingdom, it is weak. I ain't never seen a people, man, they could talk about you like a dog, call you every goddamn derogatory word in the world, but you call something them, you get into their weak ass feelings, man. Please, with that, man.
And that's exactly where I'm going. That's where I'm going with this particular Jimmy, the issue with Jimmy Kimmel. Not only Jimmy Kimmel, but Stephen Colbert he also was canceled too. His show was also canceled as well. You know, when I'm looking at, see, what they're doing is, I see the strategy. Attack some white sacrificial lambs, all right? So that when they come at the black media, because make no mistake, we are the primary target that this government is coming for. We are the children of Israel. We're not gonna hem, we're not gonna haw. They know that we're the children of Israel. They know that our time in the society is up. And that's why you're seeing the spiritual paradigm changing. They're frightened by our masculinity, our femininity. They're frightened by the fact that we're able to say what we're saying and prove beyond all shadow of doubt everything that they're doing is wrong, and they're getting called on it, and they can't handle it because they thought that their rulership and us being punished by the Lord was going to be forever. No, it's not. So we letting you know, COINTELPRO, those of y'all listening, we understand that Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert were just mere sacrificial lambs. We letting you know, Pam Bondi, we see what you're doing. The Lord see what you're doing. But you're not going to be able to stomp out and suppress the voices of the prophets and the prophetesses no longer. That's out the door. And for all y'all out there in Lions Den land that's listening, if you too weak, if you're too scared to want to take the reins of responsibility that we're now being given, and make no mistake, we're going to be reestablished on this earth. And that's why when we come here also, we say to the United States government, that is J.T. Raw, Lady Karima, the Seventh Dance, and myself, Malachi, we say in the name of the one true God, Yahweh, and his son Yahweh Shah, let our people go, that we may serve our God. You don't want to let us go. You want to harden your heart? Then brace yourself. You just brace yourself for some serious spiritual butt whooping that you're going to get. All the fires, floods, typhoons, every kind of plague you see happening, it's happening because the divine judgment of the Lord is now upon this wicked kingdom. And other kingdoms of the world where white supremacy is being practiced, that's you in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, we're calling you all out. You're all being put up on the carpet, but especially in America. So you can wipe out your Constitution because, see, in truth, you haven't even kept the laws of the Bible. So like George W. Bush said about the United States Constitution, it's just a piece of paper. But listen, you talking about you want war and all that other foolishness? Okay, white men fight back. Okay, you fight. Okay, because all your weaponry, everything you got going on is not going to save you from the divine spiritual beatdown you got coming. And you're already experiencing it, and you can't stop that. You can't stop it. So Jimmy Kimmel taking his show, Stephen Colbert, we get what you're doing, Federal Communications Commission, FCC. We get what you're doing, Pam Bondi. But you're not going to stop the Lions Den. You're not going to stop New Breed. You will not stop Philip Scott. You will not stop Vicky Dillon. You will not stop Sister Deborah and Lisa Cabrera and other black voices. We're not going to, Tim Scott, we're not going to stop. You're not going to stop us. So because what we're going to do, we're going to cut through all the rigmarole and get down to the nitty gritty. See, your media. See, when Charlie Kirk, his voice was stopped, that is a sign of the Lord is tired of your foolishness. Okay? No life, no death happens unless he sanctions it. And whether you want to hear this or not, this is not hate speech. Yo, when your soul is required, the Lord don't care who you are or who you think you are. You're going to be dealt with. There's some, wait a minute, Malachi. Wait a minute. Are you guys saying Charlie Kirk deserved to die? No, we're not saying that. But we're going to keep on repeating for you out there. Freedom of speech, but responsible speech. This dude was reckless and was saying all kinds of evil, incendiary things. And it wasn't because he was an acolyte of who? Rush Limbaugh. And who was Rush Limbaugh acolyte of Jim Buchanan. Oh, if you don't know who Jim Buchanan is, look him up. And who was Jim Buchanan? Who was some of Jim Buchanan's acolytes? Joe Biden. That's right. Joe Biden goes way back as well. The Democrats, all these guys, all of them are in the same freaking boat. So we letting you know, you're not going to stop this machine, the Lions, then you're not. And all you out here listening, you ought to be appreciative of what we are doing here right now. Yeah, we got trolls and boogers among our people. But you about to be dealt with, the traitors of our people, you about to be dealt with as well. So do we think that Charlie Kirk deserved to die? Of course not. But, let me remind you all, we're going to remind you that when you had voices out here who spoke for justice, and I'm going to repeat them again. Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X. You had Fred Hampton, Charles Hampton, little Bobby Hutton, and other members of the Black Panther Party. And I'm gonna throw, and just to make it DEI, we're gonna make it DEI. We're gonna throw in John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Robert Francis Kennedy. They all spoke for justice and for what was right. They all looked America square in the face and challenged them to be the leader of the free world. They challenged them on being the land of the free and the home of the brave. And they got cut down. They got hit with lead sleeping pills and got put to sleep permanently. So what make you think that when you have someone out here being reckless with their mouth, saying things they ought not to say, that it might not rouse somebody up? Because see, as the good Lord said in Proverbs 13, the 13th chapter, 3rd verse, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life. Even the good Lord is letting you know, yo, it's freedom of speech, but responsible speech. Responsible speech is when you say things, right, that can be proven, that can be shown to be an absolute fact. But when you talk reckless and you speak reckless and you say things to people, there's some people who tend to overlook one provision in the United States Constitution known as the provision of fighting words. Not only the good Lord letting you know, if you say something that he don't like, if you let something fly out your mouth that you shouldn't say, it's going to be some consequences and repercussions. Even the Constitution of the United States of America let you know, yeah, you were given freedom of speech, but if we don't like what you say, there's a provision called fighting words, wherein if what you say we don't like, we might, not might, we are going to take action. And we've seen assassinations right here on American soil. And if they didn't get you by the bullet, oh, they got you through what? Other means. Destroy your name, destroy your reputation. See, the media, the MEDIA, the most evil devil in America. And you know what? On that note, Yeshua, do you have anything you want to say? I got some videos I want to run.
Yeah, they got the taking away of DEI, but I'm gonna bring it back. My form of DEI is called dumb extreme idiots. That's what I'm seeing here. Dumb extreme idiots. I mean, you so-called white people in America really think that Donald Trump is the one. I mean, y'all really, really, really believe this man will restore you back to the great glory days of you yesteryear. I don't think so, man. Because that man's life, the Most High watching. And when he checkmate him, Donald is out of here. When he checkmate America, it's out of here. When he checkmate Europe, it's out of here. China, Japan, all the kingdoms of the world, when he checkmate your name off that list, you're out of here. That's what's going on right now with this country here. Y'all are losing your damn minds because you know the kingdom that you built upon on this land with blood, somebody else's blood, is coming to an end. And I know that, believe me, I know that so-called Caucasian white people in this country, you scared, very scared. You should be. Because you've been lied to by your forefathers. You've been deceived by your forefathers from day one you stepped on this soil called America, which was called Turtle Island in the beginning. They sold you a supremacist lie about Jesus Christ being a white man. There ain't no such person, actually. Biblically, there ain't no such person as Jesus Christ. But you were sold on this man looking like you, which is a lie. That's why you walk around talking about how supreme you are, because you believe the lie. Your forefathers are the reason why you're going to be ending up where you want to end up. See, good things come to an end. You had a good run, but the run is over. And I know a lot of you really in your heart know that this kingdom won't survive. It won't survive. And I know that you're scared. You should be. Because I'm going to say this and I'm going to play that video. You've been playing with a deck that you've been playing with a deck. And the card you pulled ain't the card you thought. You pulled the Joker out of that card. And guess who's laughing at you now? The Almighty's laughing at you. So I want y'all to know that. Go ahead, play the video and I'll jump back in when you jump back in after this play.
Now, this is video of first responders rushing victims from the scene. We're told the shooting happened at around 8 o'clock tonight inside the Sky Meadow Country Club. Now, right now, detectives are interviewing dozens of witnesses at a nearby fire station on Spitbrook Parkway in Nashua. Police say there was only one shooter, and they say that person is in custody. Now, we've got some new video from the chopper that was hovering over the scene until police requested it back off just a few minutes ago as police continued their investigation on site, trying to sort out exactly what transpired tonight. The Sky Meadow Country Club is on Mountain Laurels Drive. Now, that's not very far from the Massachusetts border. And at one point tonight, police posted a shelter-in-place order for a neighborhood in Dunstable, Massachusetts, which is just across the state line. Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, let them know what the video is about. I don't want to just play the whole thing without explaining what's going on, because this is.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. You know what? Thank you. Okay, Linus, you taking us into hour number 2, and you taking us to our next topic. Listen. Okay, this video, I sent this video in because we're going to be covering now all the white-on-white crime. Oh, you thought we forgot? We gave you some records and statistics last week when we were on the air, or a few days. Well, we're going to take you on a journey and an odyssey of how American media works and white people work when it comes down to denying, alibi, and conniving all their evil and what they're doing to each other. But according to Charlie Kirk and so many others, we black folks commit all the crime. So this video is just a segue into some other issues we're gonna be talking about. So stand by. Run it, Seventh Dance.
Ken McLeod. Police are just about to give an update on the incident. That should happen sometime during this newscast. We're bringing you live team coverage on this active investigation tonight. Let's go ahead and begin with WBZ's Samantha Cheney. She just spoke to a guest at the wedding there, where they're stationed there at the fire station, I believe, on Spitbrook Parkway. Samantha, what do you got?
Yeah, Ken, we just spoke with a witness who told me she was a friend of the bride. She described this incident as surreal. She said it was like a moment out of a movie, something you never expect to actually have to live through. She says everyone was on the dance floor having a great time when all of a sudden she heard shots fired. She says she ran. She got under a table and hid under a tablecloth, just afraid of what was going to happen next. She says that another guest actually hit that suspect over the head. They saw everyone running, scattering, was just really unsure of what was actually happening. She was afraid for her life. Now, we have some things confirmed by police tonight. Initially, they were searching for 2 shooters, but I can tell you right now that's now been called off. Nashville police, they have confirmed on social media and an officer here on the scene saying that surveillance video actually showed just one shooter opening fire at an event, that wedding that we now know happened inside of the Sky Meadow Country Club tonight. And that person has now been detained. Now, I-Team sources, they tell us that multiple people were shot. That woman that I spoke with, that witness, she says she saw 3 people injured. Somebody looked like they were receiving help as if they were hit by something in their lower back. She wasn't sure if that person was shot or not, but she did see those people there. Police tell us that at least one person is dead. That was a man. And I want to get to that witness that I spoke with tonight just to kind of explain that scary situation that was happening inside of the country club.
The police just running in with their gun, just running in and out, going through the back, the patio area by the golf, just searching around, trying to find somebody. And other cops just kind of escorting everybody into a locked room, like I said, where there's no windows around.
So you barricaded yourself
correct.
So you wouldn't get shot.
I first initially hid under the table with a tablecloth. So then the next thought is, okay, am I safe here? Am I a sitting duck? I mean, what's going to happen? Is this guy going to come through? Is he going to be looking under tablecloths? Is he going to be, just shooting everyone in the room? I mean, you don't know. It's very scary to experience something like that. From what I was talking with the gentleman in there who took a chair, hit him over the head. He dropped the gun. The man fled. He went through the reception area into the kitchen. He had blood on him. He made some comments.
What did he say?
He said at least the children are safe. Yeah. And then he escaped, and we don't know where he went at that point. But he said, someone said, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "F you, I'm the shooter."
And that's where one male was shot and killed. Several other people were told were wounded.
Now tonight we have seen multiple witnesses being brought out of the Spitbrook fire station here. There are still people inside of the garage. We saw a bus taking them over to the Sheraton Hotel just down the road, where we're told they will be reunited with their family. And as you mentioned, we're supposed to get official more information from police. There's going to be a presser with the Attorney General here at any moment. So as we get more updates, I'll be sure to let you know. Live here in Nashua, New Hampshire, I'm Samantha Cheney, WBZ News.
All right, Samantha, thanks for that. And as you mentioned, we've just received an update from the Attorney General, John Formella.
You can stop it. Yeah. Now, for those who may not be aware, there was a mass shooting in Nashua, New Hampshire. Okay? White on white violence. Now we're getting ready to go into the next segment of our conversation as it continues. Yo, dig. The Rush Limbaugh, the Charlie Kirks, the Candace Owens, the Officer Tatums, and some of the other grifters out there, y'all been talking all this garbioggio. All this garbage about, hey, black folks, you're 13 to 14% of the population, but you guys commit all the crime, which has been and is going to be proven to be a lie. Because all you do is lie. But unfortunately, a lot of silly Negroes, who are dumb enough to believe it. Okay? Go ahead, Yeshai. I got plenty of time. Go ahead, come on in.
All right. From the last 100 years, going back to 1925 to 2025, who committed more criminal acts in America and the world? Let's deal with America. Who committed from 1925 to the year 2025? Who committed more criminal acts in this country? I'll wait. Come on. Who committed more criminal acts in America within the last 100 years? Black people or white people?
Well, how about this? We can't go off the 100-year aspect, right? But how about this, Yeshai? Let me go into the Rockefeller Institute of Government by way of the FBI from 1982 to 2025. The estimated 155 plus mass shootings committed here in America. 54% of the perpetrators were white, 17% black, and 8% Latino. According to the National Institute of Justice, the numbers vary. They got 200, okay, and 10 mass shootings in America. The overall majority, now I'm gonna check out how they worded it. The overall majority of the mass shootings were committed by those who had been deemed to be mentally ill and suffering some kind of trauma. You know who that is, right? Look how they worded it.
Yeah, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. Yeah, we know.
Look how they worded it, though, Ak. The mentally ill and those suffering from psychological trauma. In other words, white men. And now, according to ammo.com research, all under the auspices of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, because believe it or not, when they're not twisting and bending the law under the counterintelligence program, the FBI and the CIA, they do tell the truth. It's just a matter of you getting up off your Abakatuskis and searching out the information for yourself and not letting someone else tell you about you. And so ammo.com also states that the majority of the mass shootings committed in America, coming from 1966 to 2025, my man, committed by who? The overall majority white people. But now, you know why we going here? Because see, all these lies perpetuated by Fox Media and other media conglomerates about white people, about black folk, and you got dumb grifters out here, the Candace Owens, the Officer Tatums, who are the Larry Elders, the Jesse Lee Petersons, and all the rest of them, dumb enough to get out here and push this garbage. And this is why Malcolm X said so many years ago, it's important to understand how the media works. And if you can drop those, if it's possible, seventh answer, if you can drop those videos while we're talking, please do so. But let me show y'all something, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back to August, from August 2025 to now, we've had the Annunciation Catholic Church mass murder committed by Robin Westman. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk gunned down by Taylor Robinson. And on the same September 10th, 2025, you had the Evergreen, Colorado mass shooting committed by Matthew Silverstone. Then, in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, September 17th, 2025, 5 police officers were gunned down. 3 have died from their wounds since then. Then, you've had, yeah. You guys, you got to hear this. Oh, man. You brought up Charlie Kirk. No, not Charlie Kirk. What's his fool's? Benjamin Shapiro. Oh, wait till you hear this, guys. Now, September 14th, 2025, in Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, you had a huge brawl committed by a whole bunch of out of control white people, thugs. Okay, but yet,
vanilla sprinkles.
Yet, the media continues to give you this. I'm going to come back, and we're going to let our good buddy here, Benjamin Shapiro, listen to this bull shenanigans. I caught myself. Listen to this, y'all, and tell me if you believe it. Go, Karima, go.
Involving racial violence. Material is presented for educational and documentary purposes to provide context and insight. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been told that Black Americans are being violently victimized by white Americans.
White supremacy.
White supremacy. White supremacist terrorism.
White supremacy.
White supremacy.
White supremacy is waging a war against us.
Every major media story about interracial violence of the last 20 years has featured a Black American being harmed by a white American. You know their names: George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, who was shot by the cops accidentally when her boyfriend started shooting at the cops. Trayvon Martin, who was shot by a Hispanic man under disputed circumstances, but close enough. Whenever a Black person is shot by a white person, the media are all over it. Joe Biden does press conferences and invites the victim to the White House. Benjamin Crump shows up on CNN and MSNBC to complain about the inherent victimhood of Black existence in America. 20 million people go out in the streets to protest in the middle of June 2020. Joy Reid sets her hair on fire. Here's the statistical reality. White Americans are significantly more likely to be victimized by Black Americans than Black Americans are to be victimized by white Americans when it comes to violent crime. The stats are not close. Now, let's start with a simple fact. Nearly all crime is intra-racial. White on white, Black on Black, Hispanic on Hispanic. The only group for which that is not true is Asian Americans. But when it comes to Black versus white crimes, or white versus Black crimes, Black Americans are far more likely to be perps than victims. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, citing the National Crime Victimization Survey, in 20...
Stop. Now, do you see why we're so passionate? And we come here and we do what we do, and this is why we get so angry with certain people that want to come in here and troll and get... Did you hear what this jack of an ass just said? Do you hear him? If it's okay, Linus, run that back. Okay, please. I want you to hear what he just said so shamelessly.
But when it comes to Black versus white crimes, or white versus Black crimes, Black Americans are far more likely to be perps than victims. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, citing the National Crime Victimization Survey, in 2019, there were 562,550 interracial crimes concerning Blacks and whites. 89,980 of those crimes featured a white perp and a Black victim. 472,570 of those crimes featured a Black perp and a white victim. In other words, 84% of violent interactions involving Black and white people involved Black people victimizing white people. That's not a statistical aberration.
Okay, stop.
The common argument that you hear all the time is that, well, maybe the problem.
Please. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay attention to what he's quoting. This finding. Notice he's not quoting anything from an FBI, a CIA, or from a law enforcement official source. He is quoting something that he and his small hat crew came up with. See, what Charlie Kirk and these guys, Benjamin Shapiro and anyone like them, they are well known, notoriously known to be quote independent sources. Never mind the fact what the official sources of law enforcement, and this is why it's important you get up off your behind and you check things out for yourself and stop listening to someone else tell you about you. He's not quoting anything that can be proven from an official source. These are independent sources, their findings. Look up the institute. It's not something that is under law enforcement. Do you really believe that black people are attacking more, that are attacking white people more? Do you really believe that bull shenanigans? Keep playing, Karima.
Is that when white people attack black people, or when black people attack white people, that maybe not all of it is getting reported. Maybe it's a reporting problem. Well, this is why murder is a useful statistic, because murder is always reported. There's an actual dead body. You can't hide behind dumb arguments about white crime being underreported or black crime being overreported when it comes to dead people. Every year, the number of whites killed by blacks exceeds by a factor of about 2 the number of blacks killed by whites. Let's take 2019. According to FBI statistics, there were 3,299 white Americans murdered that year. 2,594 of them, 79%, were killed by white perpetrators. 566, 17%, were killed by black perpetrators. Now, 2,906 black Americans were murdered that same year. 2,574 of them, 89%, were killed by black perpetrators. 246, 8% were killed by white perpetrators. Compare those two numbers. 566 white Americans were killed by black Americans. Only 246 black Americans were killed by white Americans.
Stop. You see what he's doing? You see how he operates? You see there, notice how he's harping on, here you go, the black on black. But how many goddamn white people were killed by white people in the same 2019 year? You'll find out 3,000 plus. But Benjamin Shapiro is only harping on, well, you know, this is why you should be thankful. You have us out here doing our due diligence to counteract this bull shenanigans, and with great restraint, man. It's taking everything in me to remain professional. Yo, the blatant lies. Okay, we just gave you FBI findings of our own, and we named the institutes that you can go to and check it out for yourself. Here he is, he's like, you know how you say, undercutting. All right, it's a truth, but it's not the whole truth. It's a slant. But go ahead, Karima.
Is he reading those statistics from like a file or something, a paper? He's just talking out his mouth. He ain't reading nothing off of no, FBI list or anything.
Well, it might be he may have a teleprompter in front of him while he's let me have a teleprompter.
Goddamn lie, whatever he's saying.
Go ahead, Karima.
Now, let's adjust for population size, because it turns out there are a lot more white people in America than black people. So, generally, you'd expect to see, if all the other factors were equal, a lot more white on black crime than the opposite. There are about 235 million white Americans. There are about 47 million black Americans.
God, bro. Okay, did you hear that, y'all? There are a lot more white people in America than black people. But yet, according to the Bureau of Vitals, okay, in the entire aspect of birth rates in this country, it's being shown in the last 30 or more years, or even more or longer, white people's numbers have been dropping drastically. But this idiot is going to sit up here. See, this is why you should be thankful that you have the seventh answer, Yeshaya and myself on the job, like Inspector Gadget. We're always on duty, picking apart these lies. That's another lie. There are more white people in America. So therefore, because there's more white people, that's why blacks are attacking whites more. He's so full of duty, dude. Continue, Karima. Continue.
This means that 1 out of every million white Americans killed a black person. By contrast, 12 out of every million black Americans killed a white person. The disparity between the stats is perfectly obvious. The reason that crime is currently wildly underpoliced in major Democratic areas is because the left will not acknowledge reality. Way better to pretend that the criminal justice system is discriminatory than to acknowledge the obvious truth, disproportionate crime among black populations. But ignoring that problem doesn't make it go away. It makes the problem worse, and the people who generally suffer are not white Americans, they are black Americans. According to Alan Beck of the Bureau of Justice Statistics, quote, relative to their share of the U.S. population, 60%, white people were underrepresented among offenders in non-fatal violent crimes overall, 52%. They accounted for 45% of offenders involved in aggravated assault and 31% of offenders involved in robbery. Black people were overrepresented among offenders in non-fatal violent crimes overall, 29%. Relative to their share of the U.S. population, 13%. Half of all offenders involved in robbery, 51%. A third involved in aggravated assault, 34%. More than a fifth involved in simple assault, 23%. And rape or sexual assault, 22%, were black. According to Pew Research Center, black men are the most likely to go to prison. There were 2,272 inmates per 100,000 black men in 2018, compared with 392 inmates per 100,000 white men.
According to the Pew. Now, I want you to take time out to look up the Pew Institute, you all. One of the offshoots of the Federalist Society. A bigoted, racist rag and institute. See, what Ben Shapiro is doing is quoting independent, lying sources, or he's twisting. See, check this out, right? Yeah. When it comes down to certain aspects of criminality, the numbers appear higher. Because you know what he's leaving out? That when it comes down to many crimes committed, the rates of convictions among black folk are higher. We get punished more for our crimes. Whereas white people tend to get probation, they'll get a slap on the wrist, or they'll just get an out and out exoneration. Yeah, come on in, Yeshaya.
Look, if you look at, I'm gonna go back on that and say, like, from the last 100 years, to me personally, I know white people have committed more crimes, because a lot of people say, well, you got black gangs and stuff like this, you know, the Croods and Crips. The Bloods and the Crips was not around until 1925, but the Klan was. And in the 1925, 19 to 1930, the Klan was abusing black people. From 1930 to 39, the same thing. 1940 to 49, 50 to 59. The Klan always been around. All of these gangs that we talking about, that our people are in, they wasn't around 100 years ago. All right? 100 years ago, black villages and black towns was being burnt down. Our people's crime, if I had to really say, our people's crime level probably started mid-60s on. Black people wasn't committing all these crimes like this in the 1950s, 1940s. No, they wasn't. 1930s. No. Maybe in the 60s, that's probably when, you know, the craziness of our people started to elevate. The 60s, 70s, 80s, until today. You know what I mean? See,
but Doc, I'm sorry, Doc, to cut you off. But that's just it, though. Even now, our crime, we have our issues. Lord knows we do. But what I'm trying to say is, it is not what we have been told by way of the media. There, see, again, what I'm pointing out is the data that this dude is showing. He's leaving out one critical area, that when it comes down to the area of punishment for crimes, Black people are convicted more. We don't get any reprieves or, what's the word, slap on the wrist or second chances. We get convicted. We get the book proverbially and literally thrown at us. And so therefore, a bigoted jerk like him and Charlie Kirk, who's his business partner, they'll leave out the part about how in the area of punishment, whites don't get punished as much as blacks do, and therefore he'll run this statistic on you and if you're not paying attention, you'll be fooled. That's all they just lie. Go ahead, Kareem, run it.
In 2018, Black Americans represented 33% prison population, nearly triple their 12 to 13% share of the U.S. adult population. Whites accounted for 30% of prisoners, about half their share of the adult population. According to another study, risk of imprisonment for Black males rose from more than 1 in 5, about 20% in 1986, to nearly 1 in 2, about 49.6% in 2004, before falling to roughly 1 in 6, 16.2% in 2016. Even though the current number is way lower than prior numbers, it's still way higher than ever recorded among white men. So, why is this happening? Why disproportionate crime in the Black community? The single most obvious factor.
Now, that 1986 fund, let me help you with that, ladies and gentlemen. Back in 1986, there was a company called Rencor. Rencor, spelled R-I-N-C-O-R. They were one time a public company, but they've now gone private. Long story short, Rencor started the entire investment deal of using blocks of prisoners, the whole slavery thing, where you had Bob Barker, Dick Clark, and so many other, celebrities of the time buying blocks of prisoners, okay? Because they realized it was profitable. Now, it was going to be profitable to make the prison industrial complex as we know it today so, money making and money grabbing. So 1986, that's right. They had a think tank. They always sitting down thinking. So a company called Rencor, during the administration of Ronald Wilson Reagan, old 666 himself, came up with the idea, listen, we're going to start using prisoners and we're going to start using them in a privatized way. See, like in the 1980s, like 82, 86, the average cost of maintaining a prisoner was $32,000. $32,000 a year. Okay? But once Rencor and the Reagan administration started making the corporate prison complex or the prison industrial complex and started cutting social spending and driving up people's desperation, with the target being, of course, Black men. And when the crack era came, more Black drug dealers were locked up a hell of a lot more than the cocaine dealers who were white. Okay? See the trick bag. See, this dude leaves all that out. And that's why it's important you have Black media, you have the Lions Den, you have all three of us on the case to help smoke out and give you clarity on when these demons walking with earthly feet leave out critical information. Go ahead, Karima.
correlating with violent crime is lack of fathers in the home. According to the Institute for Family Studies, only 37% of Black children are living in a home headed by their biological parents. 72% of Black fathers have had a child out of wedlock. Studies show the number of fathers in a neighborhood can actually help alleviate the problem of lack of fathers directly in the home. There's a network effect, a neighborhood effect, but it's rare to find a Black neighborhood with a lot of present fathers. As a study from Harvard, Stanford, and the U.S. Census Bureau found, just 4.2% of Black kids currently grow up in areas with a poverty rate below 10% and more than half of Black fathers present. That compares to 63% of white kids. Now, there are those who will argue that it's white racism that's causing the absence of Black fathers. That's a weird argument given the fact that in 1960, when white racism was really a serious American problem, less than a quarter of Black children were born to unwed mothers. Today, that number is like 72%. So as racism in the United States plummeted,
Okay,
the rate of single motherhood in the Black community went up.
It is
Blaming
taking
racism.
everything. Okay, Karima, stop. Thank you, Lioness. You see how this dude, man. All right. Now, here's what he leaves out. That when the welfare program began, all right, when the United States government started sneaking around the back door, when Leroy, Pookie, Ray Ray went to work, here come the government talking to Pookie and Ray Ray's wives, the dim-witted ones, the ones who didn't use good sense. Hey, listen, look. We'll take good care of you. We'll give you what you need. We'll give you a budget. We'll give you money. We'll give you a new place to stay. But that sounds good. But you can't have a man in the house. You got to get rid of Pookie. You got to get rid of Ray Ray. You got to get rid of Leroy. You got to get rid of all the hard workers. You're a hard-working man, and we'll give you all the goodies. See, he forgets that part.
The movie Claudine.
Wait, hold on. That's not true. That's not true. That's another lie that the white man made up too. Now,
okay, correct me. Go ahead, correct me.
Yeah, that's another white man lie. You feel me? The drugs is what caused them to be out the household. But the lie that's created is the man got to be out the household in order for them to provide no income. Whereas the little bit of lie is, which I said the other day, is the fact that that's not true, because the welfare system is for family. But the fact of the matter is, the guy or the woman, it don't matter. See, this is what they don't tell about the truth. It's depends on the income. So now, majority of them back in the days, the guy was bringing an income. Ain't that true?
Yes, it is. It is.
It's based off income service. So if the guy is making more than what the government is trying to give you, of course he are not to be in the household, because that's the scam that the woman used to do. It's not the government is saying it. No, it's the Black woman and the Black man participating in lying to the system so they can get more income. Because if he's in the household with more than the average 2-3 family household income, whatever the chart is, then of course they're going to be denied. See, that's where the lie come in at. Oh, the man have to know, because if the woman was working and the man was in the household, because the welfare system is for the child, really. Okay, you have to have a child in order to get it. So if the mother was nowhere to be found, whether she was incarcerated or dead or whatever the cause it may be, the father goes up in there to get the income. But what they don't tell you, that majority of the advocate is the woman. She applying for her whole family. It ain't like, oh, it's a separate advocate. No, it's actually the woman that is the head of the advocate. Okay, and the application become the woman, but they don't tell you who's labeled in there. Majority of the time when you go in the welfare office, who you see? Keep it real.
Women.
Keep it real. What do you see? All women? No, you actually see men, because the welfare office system have other programs inside that one program that benefit men, which is
okay.
And other programs that they don't mention that been out there for the longest. That's side by that program. But they want to sit there and say, but when you go in the welfare office, what do you see? You don't even really see that many Black women. You actually see Arabs and different nation people. But what do you see? Their husband right there with them, don't you?
You know what? You damn sure I damn sure do. You right.
Their husband right there, the whole family. Probably about 5 women and 1, 2, 3 husbands sitting right there. So the misinformation about it's the and then this is where they're put on the TV shows, the documentaries, and all this. But when you're talking to somebody that's ignorant, that don't know shit, and that's being exploited by a system, which is the news, because they did not break everything. I'm pretty sure they don't tell you what the whole income, but majority of them, when they was telling, they said the man left the household, and it was not due to, you feel me, her tripping or nothing like that. You feel what I'm saying? He left the household through other reasons in that same document that they push out there. And then they sit there and say, well, the men don't supposed to be in the household. No, what they're not telling you is the men income do not supposed to succeed the income that they providing for you, else it will be cutting down or you will get lesser. So people need to stop lying. Go ahead.
Thank you for the correction, Seventh Answer. That's fine. This is how. Okay, if I made a miscalculation, by all means, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I had no idea. Thank you very much. But see,
you're definitely right about the incarceration. The rate of conviction is what he and all of them always talk about. They never talk about the rest, the process, none of that type of stuff, because when they talk about people white folks that's arrested, majority of them, you know what I mean, they get a lightened sentence, or the case get dismissed, or they get a some kind of deal or whatever, and they record be expunged where you don't even count that. But if you go to the prison system, you're going to see majority of white people in there than blacks. So how can he not count them numbers? See, that's the misinformation. When you go to prison, you're going to see majority of the white people. They occupy majority of the prison systems than anybody. So when they talk about the convictions, they do not put them as numbers. They only put the black people convictions as numbers. But if they really do the math and go to each one of these prisons, they're going to see an overwhelming of Europeans. They don't count the Asians. But if you go to San Francisco and you go to certain parts, you're going to see, it depends on the area, you're going to see a certain amount of, people that's up in there. You're going to see a whole bunch of Asians, and in certain part of another branch, you're going to see a lot of black people. It depends on the area you go to. So if you go to a area where it's, a whole bunch of Europeans, you go check the jail system, it's going to be more dominant Europeans. See, they don't do the math on that. And if you look at the statistics about, how many black people being more arrested than black, that's not that. They don't say that. It really don't say that. It says being convicted, just like you said, on record, being convicted more than white people, because they don't put the numbers of their own people.
Okay, as you can see, we're on our job. We make it happen, y'all. See?
And I'm about to run a video too in a minute. Okay. After this, back it up.
All right, Seventh Answer. Let's just conclude. Ben Shapiro, please.
For the rise in single motherhood makes no sense statistically speaking. Differential crime rates don't have anything to do with inborn racial differences. This isn't actually about race. It has to do with behavior. When you incentivize father absence, crime goes up. When you fail to police crime goes up. When you make excuses for black on white violence, or pretend that the real problem of violent crime in America is white on black, crime goes up, particularly among the populations who are being ignored, Black Americans.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do what we do. But now, go to work, Karima. Go ahead. You see, again, this is why we do what we do here. Because see, we cannot allow these kinds of lies to be told about us to continue on. And though we can have our trolls and enemies come up in here, that's fine. But look, everything we're saying, you can go, if you take out a pen and paper, and as you follow along this show, and you write down you can go right behind us and check it out for yourself. And as you can see, right, I made a slip. I got corrected. This is what we do. It's each one, teach one, reach one. Now, how you can't go wrong with a formula like that. But now, let's see who's talking. Let's see who's out here. Okay. Oh boy. We have, okay. All right, Tyrone. I see you here again, huh? And you're saying Ben Shapiro told the truth. Okay, Tyrone. Moving on. Salaya Ben Yash. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome. Let me see what else is down here with us. Woman of Yahweh, love. Okay, welcome. And we have Marquise. What's going on? How you doing? And we have Professor. We have Hanaya Yashara. Hello, how you doing? Says, what's going on? And we have Tawana Johnson. Hey, TJ, what's going on? And Alaya Yasha'Allah, the mighty lion. Your good feast of trumpets. Welcome. How you doing? And let me see. Tupac are the best. They say it's the white man we should pay for. Okay, brother. All right. Our resident troll. Moving on. Okay, Tyrone, Mississippi, per capita, per head. I know exactly what he was talking about, but see, again, Ben Shapiro was leaving out a lot of information, and apparently you're so busy wanting to troll us, you missed all the data that I came with. But that's who you are, and that's fine. We're gonna move on. Now, remember you had a video you want to run, or can I go ahead on and continue to do what needs to be done? Let me know when you're ready. But now, getting back on.
Continue. I'm loading it, so it's gonna take a minute. Go ahead.
All right. See, what we're showing you is this, right? That we have to look at the fact that we have other people sitting up telling us about us, and that's insane to me. But they're ignoring. Okay, let me now. I'm gonna show you something. In the last 4 weeks or better, from August 27, 2025 to now, we've had Annunciation Catholic Church shooting, which was August 27, 2025. We had Charlie Kirk gunned down by Taylor Robinson, September 10th, 2025. And in the same day as September 10th, 2025, we had the Evergreen, Colorado mass shooting by Matthew Silverstone. You had the Spring Grove, Pennsylvania shooting where you had a stalker, a Mr. Ruth, David Ruth, I think, who shot 5 police officers, 3 of whom died. And that is September 17th, 2025. Then you had the big brawl for it all in the Cincinnati Paycor Stadium. A whole host of white folks just going berserk, beating each other down. And that was September 14th, 2025. But yet, and in the New Hampshire mass shooting last night that we just showed you earlier on. What's my point? That and with all those events, you don't hear no media outlet discussing the outbreak of nonstop white on white violence. You don't hear Ben Shapiro talking about the fact that here it is, all these white folks, the outbreak of violence that has transpired, culminating with his boy, Charlie Kirk, being cut down. How come we don't see any media symposiums and psychological breakdowns being discussed about white criminality that is out of control in these last number of weeks? And the same And notice now, these outbreaks, the point I'm trying to drive home is this. All this outbreak of white on white violence only really started and really came to the fore right after Donald Trump announced he was going to start putting the National Guard and troops into black neighborhoods to help stave off and fight crime. No, not money, not reparations, not money for social spending and all the things that we need. No, troops. Thus beginning the militarization and lockdown of America and the attack on the children of the Lord, the Most High's children. As the Bible said, the great dragon would declare war on the children of the Most High. See, we see what you're doing, Mr. Trump, Mr. Elon Nazi Musk. We see what you're doing. And that's why we're putting it out here so blatantly. But my point is, where is all this talk about putting troops in the white neighborhoods with all this outbreak of white on white violence? How come Ben Shapiro won't talk about all that in these last number of weeks? I'll tell you why. Because it's been in play, and now as Psalms, the 2nd chapter says, why does the heathen rage? Why do these nations rage against us? Because as we, the children of Israel, as we await the one true Savior, Yahweh Shai, some say Yahshua, we await the Most High, the Lord God Yahweh, to give the green light to the Savior of our nation to come down here and wage all-out warfare. In the meantime, in between time, you have the children of the great dragon setting up war against us. And these fools really are bracing themselves to try to fight the Lord himself. They really gonna try. But that's why we are putting these shows out and putting down all these lies, because as Malcolm X said about the media, he said something that was critical. He said, when the white media is allowed to perpetrate and conflagrate, which is a fancy word of saying a fire or blow up statistics and use misinformation or disinformation, when the white media puts out to the world images of black people being less than or the biggest criminals, and now this was being said 64 years ago. Some of us weren't even born when Malcolm made this observation about the white media. So he said, so now, when the media misrepresents our image the world over, when they do attack us, you'll have a great many people believing that we deserve the attacks, that we deserve what's happening to us. Now, that was 64 or more years ago when Malcolm said that. And look at the media and how they operate and who they keep putting out to the world as being the biggest criminals, the biggest, whites, blacks attack whites more. That is a lie. A bold-faced lie. You can't show me by way of statistics white men, women, children walking through black neighborhoods and being stomped out, beat up on, found lynched, hanged, burned. You can't show, You can't name 5 white people gunned down indiscriminately by black policemen. You can't show me that. You can't name 5 people. In the last 30 years, I'm going to give you 30 years, where you had a black police officer gun them down. You can't name 5. You can name maybe 1, but you can't name 5 off the top of your head like I could when it comes to white policemen shooting and gunning down unarmed black men, women, and children. For some of y'all out there in California, remember the case of Tamika Sykes, who was having a seizure or some kind of epileptic fit, pulled over on the side of the highway, called for medical help. The police came along and they gunned her down while she was in the throes of epileptic seizure. Huh? And of course you had Rodney King, okay, who they were trying to beat to death. And so many other cases. The Tamir Rices, the Malcolm Brown. These are cases you probably, names you don't even know. Okay? Amadou Diallo. And so many others. And yet, you have among our people those who will come against us, and all we're doing is counteracting and showing beyond all doubt why it's important that we have our own media, have our own proofs and evidence, because when your enemy, brothers and sisters, your enemy, he or she, they will never, ever have anything nice to say about you. And that's why it's your and our responsibility to make sure that we counteract these lies. We can't afford to have our image be contaminated and polluted by other people, so that when they attack us, and they are going to come down with the hammer now more than ever, as the books of prophecy in the Bible said they would, we have to be ready now. We can no longer play. We can no longer hem or haw and think that, well, as long as the foot's not in my behind, I'm okay. When the foot is looming, it's coming. And that's why it's important that we get up off our duffs and check things out. Like I said, our trolls control us to their heart's content. There's some people, unfortunately, when this great judgment goes down, 2/3 of our people are estimated to get caught up in this thing. That's fine. We don't care anymore about the evil of our people. We don't need anyone's validation here either, because see, the Lord has given us our validation. That's why we have a show and some of y'all don't. That's why we are heard and appreciated and some of y'all not. And that's because what the Lord gives a man or a woman to do in the area of calling, it cannot be denied. But what I'm looking at again, as we're in our second hour, I want y'all to pay attention to how white folks are not talking about all these shootings and killings where it's white on white crime. Or they're not saying a word. And this is what we call cognitive dissonance, I think it's called, if I'm saying it correctly, where people, they see things wrong all around them and involving them, but they want to pay attention to everybody but their own. See, this is a clear sign, as another content creator, Professor Black Truth, says, whenever white people don't talk about certain things in the media, that means we've got them. That means that they rather die before they acknowledge that what we said about them is correct. See, we came with our data, and that's why I had to use Ben Shapiro as a prime example, because there are other people like him who think like him, who deliberately slant and use trickery and trick language to beguile and fool a great many of our young people. And we can't afford to have our children. We can't afford to have our children be lied to. We can't afford to have our children inherit this world as it gets progressively worse. This is why we're now at the crossroads of putting our foot down. And as I said, I don't give a sermon, but like the Bible tells you, the good Lord says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and return, I will exalt them. But be that as it may, there are a great many of our people who are not going to return. There are some people who are just too far gone in this decrepit system and bought into it. So we're not here to save everybody. This is clearly as like Christ said, my sheep hear my voice. So those with eyes are going to see, and those with ears will hear. And so you have the video up and running. All right, Linus, go to work.
White guys. Here are 50 black guys. Here's how many white guys can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. The chances amount to 1 out of 17. Now here's how many black guys can expect the same thing. The chances are 1 out of 3. There's racial bias at every level of the criminal justice system. When blacks and whites commit the same kind of crimes, blacks are more likely to be arrested. Once arrested, they're more likely to be convicted. Once convicted, they're more likely to serve longer sentences. Look at the numbers in America's so-called war on drugs. About 14% of American drug users are black, as are about a quarter of drug sellers. Yet blacks are 34% of the people arrested for drug crimes. And those convicted of drug crimes, 46% are black. By the time we factor in sentencing, there are actually more black drug offenders than white ones in state prison and in federal prison. In the end, the incarceration rate for drug crimes is 10 times higher for blacks than it is for whites. These are the facts. Racial disparity in America's war on drugs is one big reason that 1 out of 3 black men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime.
Single mothers are literally the worst parents on the entire planet. Statistics back that. Over 70% of young men that grow up under a single mother in particular, end up in prison.
So everything that this man just said is a complete lie, which means it must be time for another round of These Aren't Facts. They're just things you made up to justify your feelings. Now, the often quoted statistic is that 70% of inmates come from single mother homes, which would represent about 840,000 of the 1.2 million people incarcerated, according to the Department of Justice in 2021. Meanwhile, 70% of the estimated 19 million children raised in single mother homes would be about 13 million. And I'm not sure how Aaron's defining young men, but even if we adjust for that, it would still be an absurdly wrong number. Okay, so Aaron misspoke, but what about that 70% statistic? That has to be correct, right? After all, it's repeated everywhere.
Women got to hold themselves accountable because 70% of boys in jail are raised by single mothers.
Single sisters are to blame for the high population of men in jail.
70% of youth in juvenile delinquent facilities come from single mother homes.
80% of all youths in prison are from single mother homes.
If you compare a single mother, there's 80% chance of going to jail.
80% of all prison inmates came from single mothers' homes.
I did the research. 80% of black males who are in jail come from single mother homes.
We are filling up these prisons with fatherless kids.
Okay, so we're not sure if it's 70% or if it's 80%, if it represents all prisoners, just young men, or only black men. But what we do know is that prisons are full of young men from single mother homes, and the women folk are to blame for it. And this statistic has been copy-pasted across every website for fathers' rights groups and family law attorneys representing fathers. But notice that it's different. It's 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions, not prisoners. But even that claim is wrong. It comes from this 1987 report from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And it says across all juveniles in state-operated institutions, 70% of them did not come from a two-parent home, which includes single mothers, but also single fathers, homes where the child was raised by other relatives, and foster homes. In fact, single parents were only 54%, and of that, 48.4% were single mother households. But it's important to remember that this is 35-year-old data about juveniles in juvenile institutions, not prisons. And they only surveyed about 10% of juveniles, so while it might be indicative, it should not be taken as a concrete fact. Now, the statistics on inmates are actually fairly easy to get, thanks again to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And in 2002, they showed that the number of offenders from single mother homes actually dropped from 41 to 39%, and went back up in 2016 to 41.1%. Meanwhile, homes with a father represented 40.7% of all offenders. It's almost neck and neck. So while prisons may not be overflowing with offenders from single mother households, it does represent an elevated risk about 2 to 3 times. And since your lifetime incarceration risk is about 5%, what that means is instead of 70% of children raised by single mothers going to jail, actually well over 80% will avoid ever seeing a jail. Okay, but that still means that single moms offer the worst outcomes, right? Well, studies have also looked at incarceration rates for different household types. And they did again find that 3 times risk for single mother households. And you can see that when we adjust for social, educational, and economic disparity, that risk drops to about 2 times. But before single fathers start to crow about this, look what happens when dad gets a new partner. They offer some of the worst outcomes. And when we remove the economic advantage that single fathers often have, you can see that single fathers with a new partner offer the worst outcomes, beating out single mothers with stepfathers, and even children not raised by either parent. So if we really care about childhood outcomes, we need to be teaching men not to ignore their children the minute a new woman shows up. And even if we just want to focus on improving the outcomes for single mother households, then we need to talk about what causes them, which is absentee fathers, because absentee fathers are a huge problem. Anywhere between 1/5 and 1/4 of all fathers have no contact with any of their children. And this is often framed as, oh, my baby mother or my B of an ex-wife doesn't let me see the kids. But that's also not true, because when we look only at men with high levels of custody, 40%, almost half of those who start out with weekly contact, virtually abandon their children within 8 years, having little to no contact. And studies have looked into the risk factors for father abandonment and found that once again, top of the list is fathers who have a new partner. And if they have a child with that new partner, then virtually all of them abandon their previous children. So if we really care about improving childhood outcomes, then we need to stop talking about single mothers and instead talk about the disgusting attitudes and behaviors in fathers.
Use trickery and
single mothers.
Here are 50 white guys.
In 2022, police killed more people in the U.S. than any other year recorded. We're talking 1,176 people. And I know y'all ain't shocked. But maybe you're shocked at the fact that there were more police killings in 2022 than in 2020, but the coverage and the outrage surrounding them was nowhere near the same. And you also have to consider that not every murder is reported. There were only 12 days in 2022 where police did not kill someone. And 2 of these dates revolve around federal holidays. 1 in 3 people killed by police in 2022 was running away, driving away, or otherwise trying to flee. And unsurprisingly, police killed black people at higher rates than white people in 48 of the 50 largest cities in the country. And 98% of police killings from 2013 to 2022 have not resulted in officers being charged with the crime. 98%, y'all. Just look at that number. And for the 2% who were convicted, I'm sure they should have served more time than they did. And we haven't seen signs of things improving, especially when you consider there's footage of the NYPD escorting the white supremacist group, the Proud Boys, onto a subway for free following an anti-drag queen rally. And then there's footage of an officer beating up a 12-year-old black girl. So y'all, my question is, what are we gonna do about this?
See? You see why it's important? You see why you should appreciate this medium? I'm going to keep on saying that part. For all my Facebook and YouTube listeners out there, yo, you see why we are committed to doing what we're doing? And that's bringing you nothing but the frequently accurate, correct truths, the facts. You see why it's important that we hit you with the 7 eyes of this show that make up this show, y'all? Huh? Intelligence, information. Come on now. Independence to help you get up off your behind and check things out. Integrity. That's right. Insight and information and influence, y'all. You see why it's important? Why we come with this formula and it works? Because without us and other voices out there committed to shutting down the lies being taught by this media, you be in the dark. Now, I don't know if it's possible, Seventh Answer, if you could run any of those Malcolm X videos. If you can run any of them, if they're there, please cue them up. I want you to hear, like I said, we're not making this stuff up, man. We had champions of justice yesterday talking about these issues, and this is the world that we've inherited, and we must stop it now. It has to end. It cannot go on like this, or we will be extinct. And so unapologetically, this is why I sit up here along with JT Raw, along with the Seventh Answer, and we formulate, we plan, and we come here and do what we do. Now, let me do a quick timeout again and see who's talking. I see, okay, Tyrone Hawkwood else got plenty to say. You're sitting here with a white partner, a real, okay, right. I guess he's the only one in the house tonight. That's fine. Okay. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. And so that's what I'm saying. Listen, if you don't share this show, hit the like and the subscribe button. Okay. And if you've been unsubscribed, make sure you subscribe yourself again. But again, what we have to take the reins of responsibility, because see, again, your enemy, brothers and sisters, and those who are watching, your enemy will never have anything nice to say. See how that gentleman, and I'll give credit where credit is due, because not every white person is under the adherency of white supremacy. But you see how he shut that whole lie down about, because even I was believing it at one time, that the majority of the prisoners in the prison system came out of single households. I was believing that at one time until I pulled back, and then we have Seventh Answer and so many others out there showing nope, lie. And see, again, it's someone else telling us about us. So now we're gonna run a slew of videos of our late great elder, the one and only Malcolm Little, better known as Malcolm X. Go ahead, Karima.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites.
Okay, stop. I'm sorry, stop.
Either to get into power or to retain power.
Oh.
Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal.
Oh, I guess not.
And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leader, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress. In the New York Tribune, in an editorial dated February the 5th, 1960, they pointed out that out of 11 million qualified Negro voters, only 2,700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part, and the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president. If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters, it is easy to see why the presidential candidates of both political parties put on such a false show with the Civil Rights Bill and promises of integration. They must impress the 3 million voting Negroes who are the actual integration seekers. And if so much fuss is made over these 3 million integration seekers, what would the presidential candidates have to do to appease the 8 million non-voting Negroes if they ever decided to become politically active? They hold the balance of power. Who are the 8 million non-voting Negroes? What do they want? And why don't they vote? The 3 million Negro voters are the so-called middle-class Negroes, or high-class Negroes, or uppity Negroes, who are referred to by the late Howard University sociology professor E. Franklin Frazier as the black bourgeoisie, who have been educated to think as patriotic individualists with no racial pride whatsoever, who believe in and look forward to the future integrated, intermarried society that is constantly being promised to them by the Negro politician. And therefore, this integration-minded 3 million minority remain an active part of the white-controlled political parties. But it must never be overlooked that these 3 million Negro integration seekers are only a small minority of the 11 million qualified Negro voters. The 8 million non-voting Negroes are the majority, the downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They've refused to take a part in politics because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself. This clergy politician leadership does not speak for the Negro majority. They don't speak for the black masses. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, the brainwashed, white-minded, middle-class minority, who, because they are ashamed of their race, because they are ashamed of being black, and don't want to be identified with black, they are seeking to lose this black identity by mixing and mingling and intermarrying and integrating with the white society. The race problem cannot be solved by listening to the white-minded, brainwashed minority. The white man must try to learn what the black majority wants. The president would be wise to try and learn what the black masses want. And the only way to find this out is by listening to the man who speaks for the black masses. And I can declare to you tonight and to the entire world that the man here in America who speaks for the majority, the downtrodden, dissatisfied black masses, is this same man who so many thousands of our people are flocking toward to see and hear. This same Mr. Muhammad, who is labeled by you as a black supremacist and as a racist and as an extremist. If the 3 million middle-class Negroes are casting their ballots for integration and intermarriage, what do the non-voting black masses who are in the majority want? Find out what the black masses want, and then perhaps America's grave race problem can be solved.
Now, I want you to pay attention to that speech. The last part of it, I'll just disregard. You know, the whole coming and listening to Mr. Muhammad. But I want you to pay attention to what Malcolm was talking about, the liberal, the conservative. Hey, wasn't Charlie Kirk a conservative? Huh? Right along with Ben Shapiro and all the rest of those guys, the conservative and the liberals today, the main ones blocking reparations. And the liberals, like, you know, your boy, what's his name? I can't think of. Okay, here we go. I got a brain freeze that quick. But you know, some of them in the Democratic Party who claim they were for us and they got down for us, but when it comes down to the issue of reparations, no, we don't want to give you that. We can't help you with that. This was 1960, y'all. And what's changed? Huh? You see how he said the clergy, these pastors, these ministers, they don't speak for the overall majority of the suffering black folk. What has changed? Huh? The minister Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, well, he's old now and out the way. But all the other ministers out here making a killing, and they're wondering why black church participation is dropping, because we're waking up to the scheme, scam, cons, and hustles. But what's my point? As the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, the Most High says, there's nothing new under the sun. The players just got more devious and underhanded. And that's why we have to come up here and pay attention. But now I know Malcolm will be proud to see how 10 million black folks walked away finally from the liberals, the Democrats. I'm glad. Oh, I know he will be absolutely proud of that, at least. Finally. So now we're gonna run another video, if Karima, of Malcolm, as we're gonna conclude and close out. So he gave you the political structure and the hypocrisies and the crap. And look at it. Like I said, whether Republican or Democrat, right wing, left wing, Kentucky Fried Chicken wing, the whole bird is foul. Huh? As my beautiful friend, once known in life as the third answer, James Mtume. Yeah, that James Mtume, musician James Mtume, would tell me, look, the Republicans robbed the bank and the Democrats they drive the getaway car. They're all in cahoots. So, you know, look, now we're going, if Karima's queuing it up, we're going to show you what Malcolm's felt about the media. See, like I said, we're not making this stuff up. We listen to our elders. We listen to our fallen champions and what they felt and what they thought about in their time. And this is the game that we've inherited, and now this is why we go so hard in revealing it. Because we don't have no more time for games. Afro-Asiatic Peace. Hey, Smashing Idol, what's going on? How y'all doing? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, this is Malcolm X on the media. Listen carefully.
Now, you're right, of course, the black people are in the worst. They have had the worst treatment. But isn't it also possible that if the white people, the poor people, the people down in my neighborhood, the white people, those that don't work, those that are on welfare, those that have nothing, if they got together too, and you help us, we'll help you. You help us get up there. You help us get rid of some of these people that are pressing down on us.
No, I say you should be just as active in your neighborhood as you have been in our neighborhood.
All right, we get our neighborhood so hot. Everybody's going for something. We alone, there are too few of us. There are too many men up there with all their cop cars and everything.
That's what they're always telling you. Never let your enemy tell you how many of you there are. Never let the man that you're against form your opinions. This is the trick that's played on everyone who's oppressed. The first thing, an occupation, when you have a revolution in the country, the first thing you take over is the radio. And then you start telling the people, everybody, the war is over. And so all of them surrender. No, they believe that thing right there. And once they take that over, they start telling you where you are and where they are, and you fall right in line. It's plain thought control. The majority of the American people aren't segregationists. That the majority of the American people aren't imperialists. But the government is, the structure is, the power faction is. So how then do all the majority go along with it? Because those who sit in power over the television, over the radio, and over the press is constantly telling those who are the masses how free they are. And
okay, stop for a second to interview. Now, brothers and sisters, did you hear what Malcolm said? He said that when the oppressor, when those who are in power take over the radio. Now, I'm going to take you back to the year 2004, going into 2005, when Michael Powell, the son of Colin Powell, was the head of the Federal Communications Commission. How many of you all remember when Michael Powell, as the head of the FCC, if you don't know what the function of the Federal Communications Commission is, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. They rule and regulate and control what you see here by way of both audio, print, and television. All right? They regulate what you could see, can't see, from a how you say, deep in the area of decency, and what can't be said. All right? But how many of you remember Michael Powell lifted the powers and limitations of mainstream media? Yeah, Time Warner, Cablevision, who else? This is from, oh, I hate when I get, oh my God, Verizon, and so many, when he lifted the limitations where at one time, these big media conglomerates couldn't buy up all the airwaves, television, you name it. But when Michael Powell lifted that limitation, you had Rupert Murdoch and company and all those big time corporations gobble up and buy up every aspect of media, television, you name it. Even YouTube and all that. That's right. And it's been a struggle for anybody who's been an independent voice to stay on ever since. But they knocked out a host of what they call cable access shows. They knocked out the radio, took over radio through Pacifica Radio. So any independent shows or listener-sponsored radio shows that spoke on a revolutionary and truth basis was knocked out the box. This is Malcolm saying all this 60-something years ago, and nothing has changed. And this is why it's important that you stay up on game. Never let your enemy tell you how many you represent in the country. Never let your enemy tell you that you 13 or 14% of the freaking population and you commit the most crimes. That's why we do what we do. Go ahead, Karima, run the video.
So a mistake is made on your part when you think that white people suffer the same as black people. Or as many Jews will say, well, we're a minority too. Or the Irish will say, well, we used to be a minority. No one's a minority like we are. They didn't need civil rights legislation to solve any other minority problem. It didn't take a civil war to solve any other minority problem. It didn't take Supreme Court decisions to solve any other minority problem or legislation. It takes none of that that action to solve the minority problems of these other people. The only real minority in America is the Afro-American. Now, when white people who are oppressed and poor, supposedly, but the poorest white person can go where the richest black person can't go. It isn't only poverty of in money that we're talking about. Poverty in spirit, poverty in freedom, poverty in equality, poverty in human dignity. This is the kind of poverty we're suffering from. So that the richest Negro in this country is still poor. When it comes to freedom, he's broke. When it comes to human dignity, he's broke. This is the kind of poverty we're talking about. So when you find white people who are poor, with all these doors that there are open to them, any door that you knock on, if you're qualified, it'll open. So when you find a poor white person, he's in bad shape. He's in.
Yeah, you see, even way back whenever we were victimized, whenever we got our problems going on, here come some white person trying to shoehorn their way in, saying that we're suffering more than you are. That was good. You see the same tactics. We heard. I show you the video of Ben Shapiro. Blacks attack whites more than anybody per capita, per head. This is a trick bag they've been using for the longest. And notice what Malcolm said. Jewish, they try to shoehorn their way into our problems. And we see Ben Shapiro, okay, Jewish, sitting up telling us about our issues and that, okay, blacks attack whites more. See, shoehorning, like they always do. And that's why it's up to us to shut all those lies down. And if there's one more video on Malcolm, let's get that last one up and running. I want y'all to hear this one as well. And then we're going to close out. You know, we've been on, we're going to close out. We gave you some good information tonight. You know, if that wasn't the last
statistics, because I got to go and do this show for JJ, but I want to run these statistics real quick.
Okay, by all means, Seventh Answer, go ahead. You run them. Okay, while she's queuing up the video, look, like I said, you see how we on top of everything? You see, and again, you see why I call her the Seventh Answer? Man, oh man, oh man. Resourceful and a magician pull the rabbit all out the hat. And we need that kind of teamwork. And who says that black folks can't work together? We doing it. We doing it real good too. There's some of you out there want to accuse us that we're agents. Okay, you're right. We are agents. Agents of the Most High. Agents of Christ. Okay? That's what we work for. So now, go to work, Seventh Dancer.
The majority of the federal prison population. White people make up the majority of the federal prison population in the United States of America. And this is from last week. Numbers don't lie. Check the scoreboard. Like, why? And my thing is this. The amount of white people that keep commenting and saying, well, that's because white people are the majority. Thank you. My point. But when we start talking about the racial stereotypes of black people on government assistance, of black people receiving food stamp Section 8, of black people being incarcerated, people act as if black people are the majority, and they're not in any of these situations. Is their rate higher per capita? Yes. Are they the majority? Fuck no.
So these racist motherfuckers and they false statistics. Well, here goes some statistics for your ass. And the sources will go be underneath it. What that's right there? Total arrests. White, 69%. Black, 26%. And miss me with all that. Oh, it's per capita. First of all, it's an issue. Y'all ass is an issue. And they go to federal sentencing. So we are 13.4% more likely to get longer sentences than y'all. So not only is y'all committing most of the crime, y'all letting each other off. What's that? Likelihood of receiving probation. Black males is 23.4% less likely than white males. Y'all got it good. Y'all out here running amok, and y'all got it good. How you like them apples? So what's y'all excuse for this, man? Is this per capita? Y'all letting is this per, because that's the only thing per capita. What about this? What about that? And the source is the FBI. So go on their website, you can find this.
So you might have seen this tweet going around by End Wokeness, which has even reached the richest person in the world. The replies are to believe this graph shows some factual statistic. But this is pretty stupid, so there's a couple things I would like to point out here. First off, anybody with half a brain who's taken at least 3 seconds of a stats course will think it's very strange that this data is being reported in absolute numbers as opposed to rates of population. Because guess what? White people make up the majority of Americans. So obviously they're going to make up the majority of victims. Similarly, black people are obviously going to make up a smaller percentage of victims in the country just based on the fact that there are far fewer black people. But the explanations are obviously not that simple, so I'm going to need to see a better representation of this data in order to get a better picture of what's actually going on here. Here it is. First thing you'll notice that the majority of violent crimes committed against white people are committed by other white people. Similarly, the majority of violent crimes committed against black people are also by other black people. You've probably heard of this before. It's essentially proximity crimes. Most of the time, violent acts are committed against people that are physically close to you, and most of the time, that will be people of the same race. And according to this data, 15% of violent crimes committed against white people are committed by black people, which is a very familiar looking number for some reason. Although I don't know, I'll have to get back to you on that one. But wait, oh my god, white people are only the 10%. Before all the Ben Shapiro's here have an orgasm, let's use our critical thinking brains for a second. So this is not based off crime statistics, this is a survey, which means it is obviously subject to people's own feelings about their victimization, which can certainly come with biases. But let's assume all this data is entirely accurate and ask ourselves, why would it be that white people would commit violence against black people less often than black people would against white people? Remember, the overwhelming majority of crimes are not race-based. So we have to ask ourselves, why would a certain race be a victim in a non-race-based violent crime? And again, this has to do with proximity. And look, I've traveled a lot of the United States, including a lot of rural and suburban America. And I can tell you, if you live anywhere here and you want to commit a crime against a black person, good luck. Honestly, even if you live here, unless you live in downtown St. Louis or Chicago or something, if you commit a violent crime, the odds of the victim being black are very, very small. I can demonstrate this a little bit more clearly by taking a look at my lovely hometown, Long Island. Roughly 10% of Long Island is black, Nassau and Suffolk County, which is roughly similar to the national average. However, of the 291 communities on Long Island, half of the black population live in just 11 of them, and over 90% of the black population lives in just 62 2 of them, which means the remaining 230 communities on Long Island consist of only 10% of the Black population, which means white people growing up on Long Island will almost certainly grow up in a town like this. I.e., if a white person on Long Island were to commit a non-race-based violent crime, the odds of the victim of that crime being Black are very, very small, just by virtue of the fact that most white people on Long Island only live around other white people. You might say, wait a minute, shouldn't the exact same thing be true in the reverse? Except, no, it actually shouldn't. And we can see this by taking a look at Bed-Stuy, which I was surprised to see apparently has one of the highest concentrations of Black residents in the United States, which was surprising because only 45% of Bed-Stuy is Black, which means, by the way, even in a community that has one of the highest concentrations of Black people in the country, if a violent crime is committed here, there's still a 30% chance that the victim would be white. But let's say you live in Bed-Stuy. How far would you have to travel to commit a violent crime in a predominantly white neighborhood? Well, you'd have to go here. And so ultimately, the big difference is that the overwhelming majority of white people in the United States do not live in close proximity to Black neighborhoods. However, the overwhelming majority of Black people do live in close proximity to other white neighborhoods. Maybe not next door neighbors, but at the very least within 5 miles, which means if you take a white person and a Black person at random and have them commit a violent crime where they are, it is much, much, much more likely that the Black person would be committing a crime against a white person than it would that this white person would be committing a crime against a Black person, just by virtue of who is around them. And remember, all this is amplified by the fact that 70% of the United States live in suburbs or in rural areas, and 75% of white people live in suburbia, both of which are incredibly segregated. But truthfully, all these crime statistics get a little bit mucky because, first off, crime statistics is really hard to determine in general because they're confounded by multiple different things, including poverty, education, how many police there are in a certain area, because obviously 2 communities that are equally violent, the one that has more police will have more arrests because there are more people there to physically.
So these
chose not to. But it's very interesting to me that you don't even take into account or mention white on white crime is higher than all of them. Now let's keep in mind that for the year 2021, 40% of police agencies chose not to participate. So there's that. Now, when taking into account the crime rates in the US, we have to look at what accounts for what percentage. And if you look, unalivings doesn't account for that much, but property crime does, followed by larceny and theft. Now, let's see carrying a possession of crime. It is likely that a community by race, ethnicity, and other
Chinese aren't the ones cramming the prison system.
They also weren't the ones brought over here like property.
Hundreds of years ago. And what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about?
You don't find it interesting that the people brought over here in chains are still in chains?
No, I don't. Okay? The slavery thing is a fucking cop-out. It happened. Get over it. It ain't my job to make sense of it. It's my job. It's our job to get the bad people off the street. Black, white, whatever color.
Systematic violence and terror aimed at one group of people. And you just said, get over it. Would you say that about the Holocaust?
Or women, Terry? Athena woman at that.
Anybody? A system or a code.
Every statistic about Black people, most criminals are white. Most
look at the FBI data to prove by the media
are white. Most people on welfare are white, and most people in poverty are white.
There's this false narrative being promoted by the media that suggests that Black people are just violent criminals. And what you got to look at when we look at the FBI data to prove this narrative wrong is some of these arrests are the same people. So people say, oh, well, in proportion to the size of your population, you have a higher percentage of committing crime. Well, some of these people, a majority of these people are the same people being arrested. So that's something you have to take into consideration, even when talking about the white race. But if we just go by raw numbers, because even when they try to speak of Black people in a good way, they use the percentage because the numbers won't support it. For example, when they like to say, oh, Black people are more likely to be killed by the police, they're using the number of police killings of Blacks compared to the percentage of, compared to the number of Blacks in the country, and that's how they get that percentage. There's only 50 million Blacks in the country, whereas there's 250 million white people. So if 234 white people get killed or 300 white people get killed in a year, the percentage of white people being killed by the police is lower, but the raw number of white people is higher. So when we look at the FBI database for 2024, we will see that violence is more likely to occur in a white community. We're not talking about percentage. We're talking about raw numbers. If we look at manslaughter, black people lead in manslaughter and murder. We already know that. Black people are going to lead in 2 categories. We already know that. But white people ain't too far off. So why y'all always talking about the violence in the black neighborhood when white people are only like 400 people off? The white neighborhood is just as violent. When we talk about grape, you're more likely to get raped by a white person than you are a black person. But we don't talk about that. When we talk about robbery, we all know that black people lead in robbery. And it's not very close. It's 4,000 in between them. Aggravated assault. It is a large disparity between white people and black people in this category. But yet, all of these people who are trying to portray black people as being violent, they don't ever talk about this. Burglary. It's a large disparity. You're more likely to get your house broken into by a white person than you are a black person. Larceny and theft. It's not even fucking close. Nowhere in the game is it close. Motor vehicle theft. You're more likely to get your car stolen by a white person than you are a black person. Arson, not close. The number of violent crimes, white people. Property crimes, white people. But you don't hear the media suggesting these numbers as they try to make black people look like animals. Black people might have a higher rate of high profile crimes. And we all know that the over policing, because black people most likely do everything in the open, whereas white people was dealing drugs in the closed. So it's easier for the police to go after someone who's doing something in the open than it is to go after someone who's doing it behind closed doors. But you never see these Charlie Kirks, Nikki, whatever the fuck his name is, Fox News, Officer Tatum, the Hodge twins. You never hear them talk about these statistics. When you talk about these statistics, you clearly see that the white community is more violent than the black community. But if you listen to the media, you listen to these podcasters, you would think the black community is more violent than the white community. But no one ever says that. Numbers don't lie. You can twist them around to make them say, hey, but if we take that number in accordance with your population, you are more violent than we are. Sir.
And with that, as we now come in for the landing, we are now completed our journey, and the 7th answer has now brought us in for a smooth landing, and we rest our case. This has been another episode of The Conversation Continues, talking about what's on your mind here on the social media platform number 1, The Lion's Den. I am Brother Amala Akaya, along with Yeshaya Dodd, JT Raw, and of course, the 7th answer, Lady Karima, who controls all air traffic control and everything that's said here on this great medium. So stay tuned. Don't go nowhere, y'all. You got JJ 7000 Mandinka coming up next. And you know he gonna take you on a real high-powered, fun-filled journey as well. So stay tuned. So with that being said, we give an honor to the Lord in Christ from whom all positive thoughts flow. And we also don't want you to take our word for it. Get up off your duff and check things out for yourself. And in the name of our one true Savior, Yahweh Shai, we say, be blessed, walk circumspect, and be careful out here. And in the spirit of Don Canais, as always, as we check out, we say shalom, peace, ahab, love, and napash, preserve and protect your soul. And we are up out of here, y'all. And we still. That's right. Peace.
I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yeah.
It's the old
He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Gilligan get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know they no contest. Yahuwah, he do the best. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to Thora. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing hard with big manodas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, will not hesitate to get retarded. Oh lordy, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he farted. He's running to the hills like a Philistine. Jihad hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the Ratchet team. JJ 7000 to debate league. Yeah, I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Ballin' and crawling all the way from H-Time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Mito got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, arms open wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as the realest, yeah. Death by cut, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building.